Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo, an interesting fight and a fight that everyone is looking forward to. I'm going to be breaking it down for you guys today. So usually I do this very conventionally, in a very organized manner. Today I'm going to do it a bit more relaxed and just talk, just see where we go with this. So one thing that I think people aren't talking about enough is the fact that Sterling doesn't really have to take down his opponents to submit them. What do you mean by that? Well, submissions. He has a chain of submissions that he uses that don't require a takedown. So for example, this could happen in the fight, of course. He could level change, grab hold of the leg, and as Cejudo's defending it, he might be able to get into his back, climb onto his back, and then work from there. He has a couple of submissions he likes to use from that position. But the thing that people are saying is that he needs to get Cejudo to the ground to initiate his submissions, whereas I don't believe that's true. I think he might even attempt takedowns knowing that he won't win them, just to get Cejudo in a scrambling situation where he can take his back. Because the guy is genuinely awful at takedowns. If you look at his stats, I mean, against Rivera, attempted 7 takedowns, didn't get any. Against Pedro Munoz, at 7 attempts again, didn't get any. So that's a 0% takedown accuracy, sorry. Something going through my mind. In 2 fights. And I think that he's going to have to accept the fact that Cejudo will be able to deal with his takedowns. Cejudo is much better than Pedro Munoz and Rivera, respectively, at takedown defense. I've got it down here, 93% takedown defense, actually, so he's very, very high in that department. So an acceptance of that is going to have to come early from Sterling. But he draws people into these grappling exchanges. That's what he likes to do. He likes to con you almost into a grappling exchange, which he will end up somehow on the back after a scramble. And I think this is going to be the most problematic part for Cejudo, and the part that he has to worry about the most in this fight is going to be those scrambles. Again, another thing he's going to have to watch out for and not take lightly is, as much as Sterling's striking isn't the best, it's unorthodox, and striking and movement wise, by the way. So what does he do? He throws unorthodox punches. He has his hands low. You know, he'll throw sweeping kicks, sweeping punches as well. And yes, I think Cejudo is better at him striking wise, but he's going to have to watch out for these kicks and these spinning elbows that he throws. I think that's where Sterling's going to get most of his damage, is from those spinning elbows, those knees, not from his range striking, which he can use, and he has peppered opponents before from range, but he doesn't really punch through his opponent or his target even. But how do I think Cejudo will counter this? Cejudo, for me, is one of the most underrated fighters, along with Demetrius Johnson, of all time, in my opinion. And I think what Cejudo does very well is adapt his game plan, and he is very disciplined. And I think what he will do is throw the heavy leg kicks that he did against Cruz. He did that, and he was majorly successful in that, actually. Not only to prevent the movement of Sterling, of course, but also to give something that Sterling has to worry about. You know, if he's throwing heavy leg kicks and preventing the movement of Sterling, he's not going to be concentrated on sweeping kicks to the head and throwing elbows and knees. He's going to be focused on defending the kick. And I think that's what he'll do. I think he trusts his takedown defense as well, Cejudo does. The evidence is there, 93% takedown defense. And what he'll do is throw heavy leg kicks. And I can almost visualize a pattern occurring already, where it's heavy leg kicks from Cejudo, Sterling trying to stop them, not being able to, going in for a takedown, not necessarily, again, to get the takedown and get him to the ground, but to try and get a scramble from it, and Cejudo defending the takedown, getting back up, and then trusting his striking again. Again, we talked about his range striking, Sterling. I think that his best bet, striking-wise, is those wild shots, as I said before, the spinning back fist, the knees down the middle. But Cejudo should be able to level change, in my opinion, and slip those wild shots, which don't come with too much power in terms of the punches. The ones you'll have to worry about is the kicks and the knees and the elbows. For me, Cejudo's actually better striking-wise in terms of technique, in terms of power. He possesses more of it, punching, kicking. You know, he's very, very disciplined when it comes to that aspect of his game. And Sterling, in comparison to him, isn't. He's completely the opposite. Now, yes, he throws great unorthodox strikes, but he leaves himself vulnerable at times. His chin is out there sometimes to be hit. And I think that could occur as well. I think he could get knocked down in this fight by Cejudo. He's very disciplined. Sterling could land a one-off amazing kick or knee. That is his chance of winning, in my opinion. Now, if Cejudo does decide to take this to the ground, I do believe, in my opinion, that he is very good at clamping and settling, a bit like DC, who throws his opponents to the ground wildly. He likes wild takedowns. This is DC I'm talking about. But as soon as the person lands on the mat, he clamps down and settles. And I think Cejudo is brilliant at this as well. He then gives himself a good base to start moving where he wants. You know, passing through the guard, going into half guard, going into side control, going into north-south, you know, full mount, taking this to where he wants to go. And that should effectively stop the scrambling exchanges from happening. Even with his takedown defense, he clamps and settles. You know, he gets into position, then he moves off in an educated isn't the word, in a disciplined manner. I don't know how educated Henry Cejudo is, so, you know, but the guy's brilliant at that. And I think that should nullify the scrambles of Aljamain Sterling. But is he going to be disciplined enough to do that is the question. I believe he is, but you never know in these fights. If he gets tired during the fight, you know, defends a takedown and then gives his back away or isn't disciplined, this is where Sterling capitalizes off the sloppiness of the other fighter. I'm not calling him not talented, but in this situation, I think it's going to be down to Cejudo whether he wins or not. If he makes a mistake in a scramble, or isn't disciplined, or isn't, you know, disciplined with his punches, throwing 1-2s, getting in and out of range, which again he is good at, or stays in the pocket too long, keeps his chin out, then Sterling can win. But I think if he sticks to his fundamentals that he's good at, when we look at the stats, most of the positive ones lie in Cejudo's favour. His takedown accuracy is 33%, Sterling's is 24%. That may not seem like much, but to be honest with you, over a longer period of time, it is quite a bit. Cejudo has a 93% takedown defense. Again, good because Aljamain can't get on top of him if this fight goes to the ground, but also Aljamain doesn't need the takedowns to get the submissions. Sterling has 41% takedown defense. Now, what this indicates to me is that if Cejudo wants to take this to the ground, he can. I think he's a much better wrestler. I think if he's in trouble, he can take this to the ground. I'd rather see him stand up, be disciplined, pepper the legs, you know, get in and out of range, and keep his chin nice and tucked and his hands up so that Sterling can't land any unorthodox strikes. But if he needs to take this to the ground, he can clamp, he can settle, he can avoid there being a scramble, and then, you know, inflict damage from there, whether that be with elbows, with his fists, to the body, to the head. But for Sterling, he might have to accept early on that he can't get the takedown, and that I could see Sterling here in this situation, actually, if he starts getting frustrated and not getting any scrambles or takedowns, trying to use his range. Again, he won't inflict much damage with his punches if he's trying to stay at range, because he doesn't punch through his opponents or his targets, but he might try and win on points that way if these scrambles aren't occurring. And for Cejudo, I do believe that he will want to keep it on the feet. He can take it to the ground, in my opinion, safely, because he is so good at wrestling. But I think that what he'll want to do is keep it on the feet, use his clean punches, hard leg kicks to win this fight via knockout or via points. In my opinion, it will go to points unless Sterling gets a submission. I think Cejudo is just going to be very disciplined and show his class in this fight. Again, you know, you can never be 100% sure. Sterling could get Cejudo in a scramble. After 3 years outside of the octagon, he might be a bit rusty, might get into a scramble that he doesn't want to get into. Sterling wins via submission. You know, you can never be 100% sure. I'm not counting Sterling out by any means, but for me, the higher percentage, or the person that has the highest percentage of winning this fight, is Cejudo, so I'm going to go with him. I want to know what you guys think. Are you guys going for Aljamain Sterling, or are you going for Henry Cejudo? I don't think this is one of those fights where it's going to be a landslide victory. I think it'll be quite tight, actually. So if you guys think that Sterling's going to win, I'd have no issue with that. Maybe he does get in a scramble and get a submission, but for me, Cejudo is very disciplined, very good at adapting. I think he's got better wrestling, not better jiu-jitsu, of course. His striking is better. He's good at, as I said before, clamping and settling, which is really key in this fight. if he is to wrestle or if he's to defend takedowns. And for me, Cejudo is going to win this fight via points, via decision. So